I went down to the scrapyard earlier today to drop off some engines left over from an old project, and whilst I was weighing them in, I had a nose in their what they call their dirty alley skip, which is aluminium with other things on it, and I spotted this beautiful industrial light fitting. I mean, you can see it's quite big, hand for scale. Um, and I think he wanted something like £2.50 for it. So, not wanting to turn a bargain down, I brought it home. And one of the first things I noticed is it rattled quite a lot. So when I took the cover off, which is what I've done earlier, I wasn't going to film myself doing that, taking out that many nuts and bolts. I spotted that in sort of sympathy with, you can see this massive dent here is, if it doesn't fall on the floor again, is this inductor has sheared off, and so has this high frequency transformer, and things like the other transformer here and this, what I think is a common mode choke, have all shunted that way, which is in keeping with an impact on here. And then down where the inductor has sheared off, the actual sort of witness marks on the shear point here also show that it's been forced off in this direction. So it's been dropped from some considerable height. So I'd imagine it could possibly have been dropped from its installation point when being decommissioned. Apparently there's a whole bunch of these the other day, and this is the only one left. So I imagine when it was being taken down, it was dropped onto the floor from our warehouse ceiling roof height. What I'm going to do is, because these are mechanical problems, is try and firstly work out which way round this inductor goes, and replace this inductor as well, and then power it up. I'm not at all confident, but for the sake of messing around, I'm going to give it a go. The one other thing I've been able to glean from looking at it is that nobody's tried to power it up in this state, because the cable is still as it was cut, so nobody's connected to this, so it's not been powered up with these components missing from the board, which I suppose is one thing. I've had a good look at this and this transformer, and if I can keep it in shot, because I'm not good at anything like this, I've had a good look round, and there's a spot on one corner, and it's got 4 equally spaced pins, and I'm assuming that spot lines up with pin 1. The other indicator that it goes that way round is it has 2, it's going to fall on the floor, there we go, it has 2 heavy output wires. I don't know if that's focusing at all. 2 heavy output wires and 2 thinner, what I assume are input wires, and that corresponds also to heavy gauge tracks on the circuit board and light gauge tracks on the connection. So that's the way around that is going to go, and yes, that's what I'm going to do, and then I might video it powering up just to see if it does anything hilarious like explode or anything else. So I will I'll solder those up and then restart the video. So I've managed to reinsert the pins and then reattach the wires to them. That was fairly straightforward, and now all I have to do is put it into the circuit board in the right orientation and power it up. Similarly with the inductor, I've managed to lift the heat shrink up, solder on some extra pin length, ready to go in place, and I have no idea if it's going to show up, but there's a hairline crack across the corner here, I'm hoping that doesn't affect the operation of it too much. If it was through the centre, the actual centre of the spool, um, then I'd be more concerned. But because the lamp is junk to start with, I'm going to risk it without trying to put a perfect component back, because the amount of shock that this has encountered to shear off two heavy components is quite considerable, and there's nothing to say that there's something else that's broken that's not obvious to the eye. So I'll solder those back in, and I'll come back when I'm going to power it up and see if it goes bang. Well, the repair of the board took about 20 minutes, including what I did earlier. I've replaced the little high frequency transformer, as well as the choke. They all went on really quite well. I did notice I don't know if that's going to show up at all, but there's a crack in the ferrite of this, which fits in with a common mode choke on the mains input, so that filters any noise going in and out from the mains. So I don't think that's going to be critically affected by a crack in the ferrite. But on this one, I would have almost written the job off, because that's a transformer. The next job is to bolt it back in, power it up. I've replaced the lead with a much longer one, so I can use it if it does work, and certainly connect to it without fiddling around with the stub end of what was there. So now I'm going to screw it all together and power it up and see if it still works. So everything's reassembled, put back together. I've put the new mains wire on it. I'm just going to temporarily attach it to some mains and see if it works or explodes. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's bright. Wow. Completely swamped the camera out, probably. A successful fix. That's really quite encouraging. I quite enjoyed that. Took about 40 minutes to do all of that. I've still got to put the cover back on, but that's pretty good. Just as I was putting the cover on, I noticed the positive, the red wire going to those LED panels, is cracked, perished, and there's insulation actually missing from here and here, where it goes under the clip, the clip to hold it in place. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that creaking when I'm moving it around, but as I've just moved the wire to show it, it's cracked even more, and there appears to be discoloration where it's actually close to the board here. So I've got those to replace before putting it back together, and then it's good to use again. There's a close-up of that wire. It's completely perished. The black wire is fine. That's flexible and supple. But the red wire has gone pink and even white in places. And I don't know if that's going to show up. But on the inside, where it's snapped, the pigmentation is still quite red. But on the outside of the cable, it's almost bleached out. So that's quite interesting. I'd imagine it's to do with the light that the LEDs are producing, which I've not come across, but that's probably it.